There are moments in history that don't look important at first. No explosions, no immediate crisis, no breaking headlines that shock the world. Just small incidents. A ship fired upon, another forced to stop, tension rising quietly. And yet, these are the moments that slowly reshape the global economy. Recently, multiple ships reported being attacked in the Strait of Hormuz. No major damage, no casualties. So most people move on. But what if this is not about what happened? What if this is about what continues to happen? Because the Strait of Hormuz is not just another water route. It is the energy heartbeat of the world. Nearly 1/5 of global oil supply passes through this narrow passage every single day. And when uncertainty enters this route, it doesn't stay there. It spreads across economies, across industries, across your daily life. Let's go deeper. Not into what happens today, but what happens next. 1. The world enters a permanent high-cost energy era. At first, oil prices react to fear. But if incidents continue, fear becomes expectation, and expectation becomes reality. Energy markets begin pricing in risk as a permanent factor. This means oil is no longer just expensive during crises, it becomes structurally expensive. Now think about what that does. Energy is not just fuel. It powers transportation, manufacturing, agriculture, and even digital infrastructure. So when energy becomes permanently expensive, everything becomes permanently expensive. This is how the world slowly enters a long-term inflation cycle. Not temporary inflation, but a new normal. 2. Global trade routes begin to shift. If the strait becomes unpredictable, the world will adapt. But adaptation has a cost. Ships may start avoiding the route. Alternative pathways may be used. Longer routes, higher fuel consumption, delayed deliveries. And over time, this changes global trade patterns. Certain regions lose importance. Others gain strategic value. New shipping corridors emerge. This is how geography quietly reshapes economics. Not through maps, but through risk. 3. Strategic energy. Independence becomes a global race. Countries will start asking a dangerous question. What if this route fails completely? And once that question becomes serious, policies begin to change. Nations will accelerate. Renewable energy investments, local energy production, strategic oil reserves, alternative pipelines. This creates a long-term shift. Less dependence on global choke points, more focus on energy self-reliance. But here's the reality. Not all countries can adapt equally. 4. Emerging economies face long-term pressure. Countries like Pakistan, India, and many others depend heavily on imported energy. They don't control supply. They don't control routes. They don't control pricing. So when risk increases, they absorb the shock. Higher import bills, currency depreciation, rising inflation. And over time, this creates a structural imbalance. Developed economies adapt faster. Emerging economies struggle longer. This is how global inequality widens, not through policy, but through exposure to risk. 5. Supply chains become permanently fragile. We often think supply chains break during crises. But the bigger risk is when they never fully recover. If Hormuz remains unstable, shipping delays become normal, costs remain high, inventory strategies change, companies start holding more stock, warehousing increases, efficiency decreases. And this leads to a new system: less speed, less efficiency, more cost. The era of cheap global trade slowly fades. 6. Financial power begins to shift. Global capital does not like uncertainty. It moves away from risk. If tensions persist, investors shift towards stable regions, safe haven assets gain dominance, emerging markets lose capital. Over time, this changes global financial power dynamics. Currencies weaken in vulnerable economies. Debt becomes harder to manage. Growth slows down. This is how a regional tension turns into a global financial shift. 7. The risk of controlled instability. Now comes the most important point. Not every disruption is meant to fully collapse the system. Sometimes, controlled instability itself becomes the system. Small incidents, repeated tensions, unpredictable risk, just enough to keep prices high, just enough to keep markets uncertain. Because uncertainty is profitable for some and costly for most. And when such a pattern stabilizes, the world doesn't crash. It adjusts to a more expensive, more fragile, more uncertain reality. Most people think global change happens through major events, wars, crashes, crisis. But real change happens slowly, through repeated signals that most people ignore. A ship fired upon, another stopped at sea. No damage, no panic. But beneath the surface, a shift has already begun. Watch carefully, because the future of the global economy is not decided in boardrooms. It is decided in places like the Strait of Hormuz,